Let's scoot ahead though. Last matchup of the day. Little team called Barcelona.
Oh, yeah, them.
Yeah, Barcelona 2. Eintracht Frankfurt 0 on a day where Frankfurt needed a result here. Weren't able to get it done. I was a little bit surprised by the lineups. Barca brought out their big dog lineup in this one.
It's crazy.
Mariona Caldente, CGH, Salma Pariuelo, Bonmati, Kira Wash, Onabatie, Batri, Irene Paredes, Lucy Bronze, Ingrid Engen, and World Cup champion Katakoye in goal, just for good measure.
Come on.
Was interested to see how Frankfurt would play this one. They hung in there pretty good. They had chances throughout, but ultimately they were probably most of the time 2 or 3 more good touches away from really threatening the champs. They managed just 5 shots, 0 on target, a real testament to what Barcelona could do when they don't want to let you do anything. They just kind of make it impossible. Almost 70% possession for Barcelona. They completed 402 more passes than Frankfurt. 402 more passes. Frankfurt only attempted 343 in the game.
All right. Great.
Just insane. Passing accuracy advantage to 84% to 71%. 71% means Frankfurt, they're completing less than 3 out of every 4 passes. Hard to win that way, especially against this Barcelona side. Barcelona was 0% scared of Frankfurt. Their left and right backs, Onabatie, Lucy Bronze, spent the evening just strolling up and down the park, moseying around to wherever they liked. With regards to the actual scoring, though, Batri blasted a fucking laser in the 19th minute from outside the 18th. 73rd minute, CGH, not to be outdone, she thumps her own missile, also from outside the 18 to make it 2-0 Barca and pretty much close the book on this year's run to the quarters for Eintracht Frankfurt. And imagine being so good, having so much offensive firepower that your attacking players don't even need to get the ball into the box for you to score.
It's crazy.
Oh, I've got a little look here. Let me just fucking rip it. With all that said, though, this wasn't the same unstoppable Barca attack. Bonmati, she had a little trouble getting going, but I think that's really kind of a testament to what Frankfurt was trying to do defensively. With Dorsun, who played really solid. She's had like a great group. I just love watching her play.
Great. Sophie
Kleinhern, she's young, also had a really good showing. They didn't make it easy for Barcelona, but things did look a little tiny bit disorganized for Barca. Maybe it's because there were basically no stakes for them after Benfica's draw that clinched the 1 seed for them. Maybe has to do with the impending move to NWSL for current manager Jonathan Giraldes, or maybe they're just a little bit bored and we need to just fast forward already to the quarters where they might actually have to break a sweat in one of these matches.
I think you said it perfectly, man. Eintracht Frankfurt, they have good defensive players. They create a good shell, and they very clearly have enough skill to muddy things a little bit for the champs. We saw them do that in the first half of the reverse fixture when they played Barcelona. But then where I think you really said it perfectly is that the German side, they're always 2, 3, 4 perfect touches away from making things really, really interesting. And when you're asking your players, like, hey, I just need like 2 or 3 more absolutely perfect pinpoint passes, and then we'll really be cooking, they got to be looking at it around like, well, I'm not going to be able to do that because every single Barcelona player is all over me every time I have the fucking ball.
And just to add a little bit of the math to that, you're completing less than 3 out of every 4 passes. So if you need another 4 touches before you get to the third one, that's the end of the sequence.
Exactly right. And, it looked like Freigang who has also comported herself very well throughout this tournament. Freigang, she looked like she could have equalized around the 57th minute. She had a decent look. It would have taken a really brilliant touch. And even then, I bring this up in football because I think it's a real thing. You could have just pissed off Barca at that point, and maybe you lose 4-1. You may have refocused them if she gets that. Now, there's also the flip side of that because I don't want to totally downplay Frankfurt. Maybe Freigang gets that equalizer, it ends up finishing 2-2, or maybe Frankfurt pulls off the stunner and wins 2-1 or something like that. But all in all, it was cool to watch Frankfurt in this tournament, and we talk about this. We say this is like a learning podcast. We're diving into all these international club teams for the first time. Frankfurt is a good watch. I look forward to watching more of their matches in the future. It was a good education on a lot of their players. But I'm with you. When that Barcelona lineup gets published, I was just like, are they going to play like this is the final? Why is everybody out there? And then you mentioned it, there are so many players to talk about. We don't talk about Patrick Guijarro. We gotta start carving out more time to talk about how great she fucking is. She's unreal. And is she the 3rd best player on the squad? Is she the 5th best player on the squad? I don't know. But there's got to be a long line of elite squads who would pay a lot of money to make her their best player.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they've just got talent everywhere, even deep on the bench. We saw some of the young players come in. I think Vicky Lopez came in and she's like, I don't know, 10 years old or something ridiculous.
Right.
She almost gets a goal like 5 seconds into coming into the match. Just totally unfair. But yeah, just to rewind a little bit to Frankfurt, Nicola Nyomi, I think she played really great. She was giving them chances, at least trying to find some daylight with some full intensity runs. Prasnikar, very offensive minded in this one. She took her chances. That was pretty much the end of it. They got right into the final third, and as soon as they kind of stepped foot in there, felt like most of their possessions, it was a wrap at that point. But yeah, we'll welcome them back next season. They played tough, but again, this is group stage. A lot of good teams are going to end up going home. Some of them already eliminated. 5 teams eliminated. 11 are still alive for the 8 spots, and then we'll finalize, all of the 1s and 2s next week with regard to where everybody finished. So next week, the Group A matchups, pretty much a formality. Barcelona at Benfica, Rosengard at Eintracht Frankfurt. At this point, just want to see everyone in Group A go out there, have a good time, shake hands after the match, maybe go out for a slice of pizza, milkshake or two, and then we all go about our business.
I like it. I mean, you got to wonder, are we going to get more target practice for Patry and CGH? Is it going to be some good cardio for Benfica? I mean, you talk about like the development of Benfica, maybe they'll be mixing in some push-ups and dumbbell curls out there on the sideline. Just everybody like go out there, try to get ready for the knockout stage. But either way, Group A, you were largely what we thought you'd be, and you gave us some pretty good memories. So, shout to them. I would say it was and no fault of the other 3 teams involved. Barcelona made it look like the way people thought it would look.
I agree with that. I mean, we do have a little bit of an opportunity next week. Benfica having clinched their first trip to the quarterfinals, knockout stage. Barcelona coming to town. How about we all show up for that match?
I like it.
Let's get a rowdy atmosphere. Let's celebrate where we're at. It's one of those where kind of playing with house money a little bit, not expecting to beat Barcelona necessarily, but who knows what kind of team they roll out. So I'm excited to watch this one.
That's a great call. Yeah, I think their supporters, I mean, Barcelona doesn't come to town a lot. So show up and show out. That should be a party. And you're walking in knowing we're going to the knockout stage. So why not celebrate your squad that way and, maybe tip a beverage or 2 and just enjoy yourself.
There you go. And who knows? We might see this team a little later down the road. We'll see. I wanted to zoom out and put a question forth, and we can end on this. What would you say is your single biggest takeaway spanning all 8 Matchday 5 matchups? Anything in particular that you saw that can have like an effect through the rest of the proceedings, maybe all the way into the final?
We talk about them a lot. We have a lot of great fucking goalkeepers and a lot of great back lines in this tournament. And if you're going to win this tournament, you better, because the striking skill, the attacking skill is just unreal. Like, I mean, it's hard to even, we talked about Katoto, Baltimore, and Chewinga earlier. Now you have Perejuelo, you have CGH, you have Patry, you have Sinja Gaupset, you have Raquel Engesvik. Like, you have these players from all these different countries who can hit a wonder strike from anywhere. But you have to have your great backlines to make those as difficult as possible. And then you have to have a keeper who's able to wow you. So I think there is an offense-defense factor here and maybe this is a little trite, but you're not winning this tournament playing one way. You're not parking the bus and praying for a counterattack goal to win this tournament. You have to attack also, or else you're not giving yourself a chance.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me think about that Hacken side that is just so tough to score on. They're so compact defensively, really good goalkeeping from Falk. And, they went up against another stonewall of a team in Perry FC. I think whichever of those 2 make it through, they've got a style that's going to be tough to contend with when you think about the back 4. I think that's a really great call. My big takeaway from these matches is I wonder if a team from Group C, probably thinking more about PSG in this instance, having gone through the ringer that is, like that group where all these matches are like level 10, 6 matches, there'll be 540 minutes of gotta have it football.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what the Group C winners or runner-ups look like against like a Chelsea side or a Lyon or a Barcelona, who all 3 of those teams advanced straight to the group stage.
Yep.
They didn't have any kind of qualifying, so they're really just 5 games into the Champions League at this point. And I'm really interested to see if some of this activity has hardened some of these teams, again, like a Braun, like an Ajax, like a Hacken, Perry FC, even a Benfica, that's had to kind of scrap. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see what maybe the first half of football in those knockout stage matches looks like. If some of these teams that are going to come in as favorites look a little surprised, or to your point, have a little trouble breaking through a back four that's really in sync, really in rhythm.
I love it. I don't know if it's quite. It's not really a sports cliche, but I love the sports talk narratives. I feel like we got a battle tested versus elite play narrative here that we see in sports of like, okay, I'm the team, I won the bye, or whatever, speaking about American sports, but like, I'm the team who's crushed everybody, I have the big point differential. And then you have the team, it's like, well, this team wins a lot of close games, this team has had to like really fight and has formed an identity and have a togetherness that maybe can't be built if you're just smashing everybody 5-0. So I love that. I love that as a narrative, man. I think you're spot on there.
Obviously, we can end on this. That hits home with me so closely when I think about PSG, because they look like such dog shit the first 2 weeks. And you called it out, when you talk about Elisa de Almeida, who I really do think she took that one-on-one against Valentina Giacinti super personal.
Yeah.
She was like, nah, you're not going to come out here and punk me. She did the punking.
She
and
did.
then like her whole team fucking followed suit, and they've been scorching hot since then. So when you talk about a team that's finding its identity, I think you hit it right on the head with regard to thinking about what that PSG team might look like going into the quarters.
I love it, man. I mean, this knockout stage is going to be fire. Like, this is just going to be what a tournament so far. The group stage was fantastic. The knockout stage is going to be even better. I realize this is our first time really closely following the UEFA Women's Champions League, but man, has it lived up to all my expectations and exceeded them in a lot of ways.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, best Champions League I've ever watched.
There you go.
Anything else you want to hit? Anything else you want to hit before we get out of here?
I think that's it. I think for the folks who pay close enough attention to us, we like to throw in an Into the Channel, Into the News. There are a lot of juicy matchups these last 2 days. We'll do some Into the News maybe next show. I know some things happen. I know your Orlando Pride traded Messiah Bright today to Angel City, which, gotta tell you, as somebody who roots for Seattle Reign, not psyched about that. I mean, I know like it's not really like conferences or anything like that, but I look at Angel City as a little bit of a rival for kind of West Coast supremacy in the NWSL. Don't love that. Don't love Messiah Bright going to play for Angel City. Think she'll be very good.
Yeah, I think she's going to be very good wherever she lands. But that one hurt. Not happy to see that. On the flip side, though, shout out to Myra Ramirez, if you remember the World Cup. Myra Ramirez, large.
That was great. I forgot about that.
Yeah, largest transfer fee, I think, in the history of women's football, bumping Kira Walsh into second place. $500,000 for the transfer fee for one of our favorite Colombian strikers, who will now be maybe trying to get into the mix at Chelsea. And I tweeted this earlier, making Emma Hayes' job a little easier and a little harder at the same time.
An embarrassment of riches over there. I think if you're the NWSL, I'm going to look at it from the American angle again. You got to watch out for this. Like, you have to look out for the WSL because they're going to pay. And I did see, I guess we are kind of doing a little bit of Into the News, but yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, you have to look. Now, I did see some reporting from Soccer Donna on Twitter, at Soccer Donna. They had mentioned, I think it was last week or the week before, that an NWSL club did offer a massive transfer fee to Levante in Liga F for Alba Redondo. But Levante said, no, we'll go ahead and keep our strike. Like, $500,000 isn't going to score 27 goals for us in the league. But if you're the NWSL, you got to pony up, man. You better pay these fees, these transfer fees to these clubs if you want to keep up. So let's get these elite athletes paid. And from my very selfish point of view, let's get some teams over here paying those fees. Here's looking at you, Seattle Reign. I would like to see us buy some more players. If you haven't noticed, there's been a little bit of an exodus from our squad. We might need to pay to get some new players on the squad.
Couple open spots.
I would say.
All right, man. I think we did it. It's been another episode of Into the Channel. Subscribe or follow us YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to watch or listen. Comments, ratings, reviews, Braun jerseys, all of them, always appreciated. At ITC_pod on X, at Into the Channel pod on Threads. Big thank you to my co-host, Mr. Grand Angle, for surviving the group stage.
We're making it through, buddy. We're through. We're hyped about it, but we still got Matchday 6. High drama. I think we're in for an absolute doozy here.
Cannot wait. Yeah, let's go. Fast forward me to Tuesday already.
Let's go. And I'll talk to you soon, buddy.